Hi and welcome to the News in Focus today. Today's topic of discussion is Quad Group, possibilities and challenges. In today's topic, we will be discussing why Quad is in discussion, what is the concept of Quad, how did the Quad Group came into existence, what is the importance of Quad for India, why does China gets annoyed with the Quad Group, what are the challenges before the Quad Group and what is the road ahead. Moving ahead, now we will see why Quad is in discussion. Recently, on the sidelines of the G7 group meeting, the leaders of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue also met in Hiroshima. Meanwhile, without naming the Asian superpower China, the Quad group in their communique jointly targeted Beijing's attitude and strongly opposed such destabilizing unilateral actions in the Indian Ocean that seeks to change the status quo by force or coercion. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, is an informal geostrategic grouping between India, Australia, United States and Japan. All these four countries, being democracies, have a common ground and also supports the common interests of uninterrupted maritime trade and security. It is an alliance of maritime democracies and the forum is maintained by meeting of all member states, semi-regular summits, exchange of information and military exercises. This is worth mentioning that the Quad grouping was established primarily as a strategic bloc to counter China's aggressive stance in the South China Sea. In Quad, four countries have joined hands to ensure peace and stability and rule of law in the Indo-Pacific region. Significantly, the parts of the Indian Ocean and some parts of the Pacific Ocean are also called the Indo-Pacific region. Currently, the Indo-Pacific region comprises 38 countries covering 44% of the world's surface area. Now we will see how did the Quad group came into existence. For the first time in 2007, the idea of Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, that is Quad, came up. The forum was launched in August 2007 as a dialogue by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. China and Russia then opposed it. Australia was left out of the group in 2008. This idea remained in cold storage for next 10 years. Then in year 2017, work on it started in an active manner. In November 2017, the US, Australia, India and Japan gave shape to the long-pending proposal to set up the Quad. Finally, after several high-level meetings, representatives of the four countries coming together on the same platform to discuss the Quad for the first time in 2019. When the foreign ministers of the four countries held a high-level meeting on the Quad in New York, what are the objectives of the Quad? The Quad group aims to secure freedom of navigation, a rule-based global order, respect for international rules, peace and security in the maritime domain, freedom of overflight and a liberal trading system. Apart from this, it is also to ensure and support a free, fair and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. The Quad leaders also share views on the contemporary global issues such as technology, climate change and education. Now this is important to know that what is the importance of Quad for India. International affairs experts point out that a large part of the world's oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz through the Indian Ocean. The security of those oil supplies is essential for the prosperity of the entire region. There is also a great deal of rivalry in this area. Obviously, this has serious security implications for us and so we are developing a strategy in cooperation with the other countries to maintain the peace. In such a situation, the United States, Australia, Japan and India have come together to protect the sea routes passing through these areas. It is often said that Quad's forum strategically counters China's growing economic and military power. Importantly, if China tries to infiltrate the boundaries of India, India will need the support of other Quad countries to counter the communist nation. Apart from this, India can also take the help of its naval front and make strategic discoveries in the Indo-Pacific region. Experts are of also view that if Chinese hostility escalate on the borders, India may seek the support of other Quad nations to counter it. The Quad provides a powerful platform to advance our interests in East Asia, coordinate strategies with the powerful friends and further strengthen our Act East initiative. The Quad group is going to play an important role in the keeping Indian Ocean region independent. There is often tension between India and China regarding the border. In such a situation, the Quad is India's biggest force to counter China. In fact, if China ever does something that is not right from the India's point of view, then the Quad members can support India to counter China. In contrast to the uncertainty of India's border disputes with respect to Pakistan and China, India can establish a new order in the Indian Ocean with the Quad members. The sea route of the Indian Ocean is very important for China from the point of view of global trade. In such a situation of cooperation of the Quad in this area will provide a strategic edge to India. India will be able to use this to control China's aggression on the line of actual control, which is LAC, along the peace of the region. Being at the heart of the Indo-Pacific, India can strengthen its position in global politics with these efforts by launching joint initiatives related to humanitarian assistance, disaster management, maritime surveillance, and infrastructure in vulnerable countries of the region. Now we will see why does China gets annoyed with the Quad group. China has messed with the 4 countries included in the Quad group. Due to China, a situation of instability is often being created in the Indo-Pacific region. Last year, China has said that the way NATO expansion has created conditions of war in the Europe, similarly the arrival of America in the Indo-Pacific will increase further upheaval in the region. In a way, China is drawing a line by talking about upheavals due to increased US interference in the Indo-Pacific. Like-minded countries came together to respond to the Chinese aggressive stance. China is especially worried about the Quad. Talks are going on between the Quad countries to strengthen the security of the region. Cooperation between them has increased manyfold, and somehow this is irritating China. This is prudent to know what are the challenges before the Quad group. India is an emerging economy where the industry and products are not able to compete with the advanced countries like US and Japan. Due to this, India did not become a member of RCEP. The economy of our country is mainly dependent on the tertiary sector, which is also known as the service sector, but the economy of the rest of the Quad countries is mainly dependent on the advanced primary and secondary sector. These countries opposes the free movement of human resources of India, which is hurting India's service sector. Second reason is USA's trade policy is to counterbalance and surround China, but Hindustan understands the importance of its trade relations with China. India doesn't want to slow down its development by competing directly with China. Differences among the 4 Quad group countries are generally wide in terms of military capability, strategic culture, and ability to bear the cost of potential Chinese retaliation. There is a lack of clear strategic vision in the partnership despite the similarity of views on the importance of Indo-Pacific region and its security among all the members included in the Quad group. India has been reluctant to pursue a strategic rule-based Quad group proposal, drawing lessons from the South China Sea and the Doklam conflict. In fact, India's strong disagreement with the treaty alliance system has slowed down the progress of quadrilateral arrangement. Now we will try to understand the difference between the Quad group and the China's string of pearls policy. Many experts believe that through the militarization of the Quad group, India can also respond to the China's of strings of pearls policy. China is trying to build strategic and economic important bases in small countries of South Asia and Indian Ocean under a string of pearls policy. It has been trying for a long time to encircle India by setting up naval bases in Bangladesh and Myanmar and giving arms and other equipments to these both countries. China is also building an artificial island just a few hundred kilometers from India in the Maldives. It has taken a strategically important Hambantota port of Sri Lanka on lease for the next 99 years. Similarly, China is also developing Pakistan's Gwadar port as a naval base. Experts believe that China will use Gwadar port to avoid the eyes of India and America in the Malacca Strait. Similarly, China is also building an air base and naval base in Cambodia. Now we will see why this Quad group is also termed as an Asian NATO. When in May 2022 Quad Leaders Summit was being held in Tokyo, China was extremely furious. China sees the Quad countries as its encirclement, and that is the reason why then Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi launched a scathing attack on the Quad countries and said that the America has formed the Quad to keep China under control, and this group is trying to create an Asian NATO. Meanwhile, Quad members say that the group is meant to deepen economic, diplomatic, and military ties between the four countries. At the same time, it never says that the Quad is to stop China. During conference, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the Quad has made a special place at the global level in a very short time. Today, the scope of Quad has become very wider. At the same time, US President Joe Biden says that the Quad has to play an important role in the future. Finally, we will see the way forward. Quad countries need to better present the Indo-Pacific vision in a comprehensive framework which is aimed at advancing the economic and security interests of all. Transforming from a military alliance to a trade bloc, whenever a trade agreement is reached under the Quad, it will enhance the economic potential of the alliance by reducing trade costs. The member countries of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue agrees that a free, open, prosperous and inclusive Indo-Pacific region will serve the long-term interests of all countries in the region and thereby protect global interests at large. The Quad countries who strive to clarify the group's approach to the peace and stability of the region and to resolve differences established by China among other countries in the region regarding its role and goals. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue framework should clarify some essential rule-based system concepts and practices. Examples of this good maritime order, fair commercial practices, cyber standards, adherence to the international laws and norms, and the compliance with the decisions of legally established international courts and tribunals. The Quad has evolved into a unique partnership and is poised to play a meaningful role in the promoting stability, security, and development in the Indo-Pacific region.